Live from the election zone, here's Nadine Habib.
Hi, breaking news. CTV has projected that the Conservatives will form the official opposition. This year's federal election has already been called for the Liberals by CBC and CTV. And here's the national seat count. As you can see, the Liberals are leading with 154 seats, while Conservatives have 89 and the NDP have 21, while the Green Party, that's Bloc Québécois with 5. It's a historic night for Liberal leader Justin Trudeau. We are now going to Victoria Chen, who is downstairs for our local results.
Thanks, Nadine. Now let's have a look at the seat count since the votes are in. In Toronto, we can see in 2011, just a bit of background before, that it was fairly proportionate between the Conservatives, the NDP, and the Liberals. Now, Red has appeared to have taken over 17 seats for the Liberals this year. Now let's go to the 905 region. As you can see, the Conservatives have taken most of it in 2011. Now the Liberals are winning this with 13 seats. As many are saying now, this is a key swing region which will determine whether the Conservatives or the Liberals win the election. And we also have some local results for you. So as you can see, Spadina Fort York, Liberal candidate Adam Vaughan is taken over with 103 votes. Olivia Chow trailing significantly far behind. Many people were saying this is a two-way race between the two, but it seems like Chow has to catch up a little bit. Next up, University Rosedale. Christia Freeland, Liberal candidate with 77. Jennifer Hollett trailing significantly behind as well with 25 votes. Next, we've got Toronto Danforth. Well, this seems like a two-way race between Liberal candidate Julie DeBruzen and Craig Scott from the NDP. And many are saying once again that it could be either one of these. Craig Scott is the incumbent, so we'll just have to see how the evening fares. Back to you, Nadine, in the studio.
Thanks, Victoria. We're about to check in with Kaya Berkeley, who's reporting from Toronto Centre. Kaya, the Liberals are doing very well tonight. Does this come as a surprise?
Well, we actually here at Bill Morneau headquarters just saw the projection on the TV that Bill Morneau has won this riding. So there was huge excitement, obviously, here, a lot of cheering, a lot of screaming, people hugging, really, really excited. They're passing out some Bill Morneau shirts, so people are increasingly becoming a sea of red. I think everyone is still waiting for the main man to get here, though, so no sign of Bill Morneau himself.
Wow, I hope that he shows up soon. I'm sure it's going to be a great party.
Yeah, well, I hope he doesn't miss his own party. I wonder, there's a lot of kids here, so I'm not sure when they're going to have to start going home to get to bed.
Wow, so when did the results come in?
Sorry, I can't hear you. It's so loud in here.
Yeah, we can hear it. I was saying, when did the results come in?
The results just came in a couple minutes ago, actually. And there was a second announcement later that elicited a lot of cheers too, but I didn't see what that was. It might have just been the same message flashed along again. But as you may be able to hear, it's getting really loud.
Yep.
And certainly it's changed a lot since we first stepped in the door here.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kaya.
Thanks, Dee.
We're moving back downstairs to Alicia Gradkowska and the issues that mattered during the election. This time around, we look at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report. Alicia?
We're back with Issues That Matter, exploring the hot topics that came up during this election. Reevaluating Indigenous rights was a major concern for organizations and groups in Canada this year. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission released their report this summer and made 94 calls to action. Some of the recommendations included eliminating education gaps between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal Canadians, protecting Aboriginal rights and culture, and, quote, recognizing the distinct health needs of Métis, Inuit, and off-reserve Aboriginal peoples, as well as adopting the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. The parties have had varied responses to the TRC. Most notably, the Conservative government did not commit to adopting the TRC's recommendations earlier in the summer. In their current platform, the Conservatives said that they would take, quote, immediate action to address the issues brought up by the report. Leclerc and the NDP also planned to make the recommendations a reality. The Green Party was thinking along the same lines. They would have implemented the findings of the report alongside recognizing Indigenous rights. But it looks like Trudeau's Liberals will be leading with this report. They said in their platform that they would work to enact the report's recommendations. Implementing the UN Declaration would have been one of the first steps, and we'll see that promise put to the test, it seems, in the coming months. But go to our election zone and click on issues to get more details on this and other topics affecting the election. Back to you, Nadine.
That was Alicia Gredkowska with Issues That Matter. Now let's check in with Angus at the Center for Social Innovation. He's holding down the Ford NDP candidate Jennifer Hollett's election party. Angus, things aren't going well for the NDP tonight. How are people reacting?
No, they certainly are not, and the numbers in this riding are starting to come in, and they are starting to look consistent with the rest of the country. I can tell you that as of the last count, Jennifer Hollett has had 598 votes, and she's trailing behind Liberal candidate Chrystia Freeland with 811 votes. Now, the NDP, or rather, the Conservative candidate has about 310, and the Green Party candidate only has about 46. So the atmosphere is still kind of subdued here. They've actually turned down all of the televisions with all of the live streams from other news organizations, and a band has started playing. And they're now updating the crowd on the score of the baseball game with the Jays as opposed to the somewhat disappointing numbers for the NDP. So it's definitely not quite a party mood here, but it seems consistent with the other ridings that we're seeing across the country at the moment.
Wow, thanks so much, Angus. We'll check in with you later.
You're very welcome.
Let's check in again with Victoria Chan in the newsroom. Victoria?
Joining me now is Matthew Fox, and thanks, Nadine. He is the co-founder of Ryerson NDP. Matthew, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Martin, sorry.
No
Martin Fox.
No problem.
So I just wanted to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about the campaign you've been working on so far?
Yeah, so I worked for Linda McQuaig's campaign, and fortunately it looks like she might not be victorious, but we had a really energetic campaign. We focused a lot on areas that the Liberals didn't. For example, St. Jamestown, where people tend to be, we have a lot of people of color, a lot of immigrants, a lot of very low income people that typically are marginalized in the political process. And elected officials tend not to look after their interests. We spent a lot of time in St. Jamestown. We knocked on literally tens of thousands of doors. And basically we've had such an amazing ground team. We've had dozens of young people volunteering and spending 10 hours a day sometimes just knocking on doors and trying to get people excited about the NDP platform.
Right, and tell us a little bit about your reaction to how the NDP is doing in this race so far.
So far it's a little hard to tell exactly. I mean, surprises could happen, hopefully. So far things look a little bit bleak, but I think the big problem in this election was people didn't really see a big difference between the Liberals and the NDP, which is unfortunate because there are some very significant differences. On the way we handle childcare, for example, taxation is a big issue. We have a lot of differences. And I think people didn't really look deep enough at what makes the NDP. And they sort of said, they're pretty similar, and the most important thing is kicking out Harper. But we can't just kick out Harper and replace him with somebody that is pretty similar, like on military policy or Bill C-51.
I love to hear Martin, and we're going to have to cut you off here.
No
back to you in the newsroom, Nadine. You'll hear more from him in just a bit.
Thanks, Victoria. Calgary Heritage, Stephen Harper's riding, and Eglinton Lawrence's riding, Joe Oliver, have the results have come in. As you can see, Calgary Heritage, Stephen Harper is leading with 555 votes. And as we turn into Eglinton Lawrence, we see that Joe Oliver is leading with 61. Now, our reporter Kira Wakim is over in Spadina, Fort York right now. She joins us on the phone. Hi, Kira.
Hi, Nadine.
So the results are still rolling in, and Liberal candidate Adam Vaughan is in the lead. What's happening at Olivia Chow's party now?
Yeah, to be honest, it's not looking good for Olivia Chow at this point. She has about 20%, and she's tied with the Conservative candidate, who many thought wasn't even
a factor in this race, and Vaughan is about more than 50% of the vote right now. Now, all the polls haven't come in yet, but it's really not looking good for Olivia Chow. There's a lot of sort of chatter amongst everyone. Seems kind of nervous about what the results are going to be, and it's not great right now at Chow headquarters.
Okay, thanks so much, Kira.
Thank you so much.
And actually, we were just wondering, what are people saying about Olivia Chow's chances? I know that it must be glum in the party now.
Well, I think that, her team, she's lost elections before. I think they know how to remain hopeful. But I think they're saying that her chances are very, very slim at this point. It looks like it's a home run for Adam Vaughan.
Okay, thank you so much, Kira. We'll hear from you later.
See you soon.
Thanks. Now we return to our studio where Peter Goffin has reactions to the results from our panelists. Peter?
Thanks, Nadine. We are seeing some decisive results tonight. The Liberals keep on picking up seats right across the country. Now, panelists, you all predicted a Liberal win. I think that this majority that we're looking at now might have come as a bit of a surprise to some of us. Let's start by saying, Sean, what is your reaction to the results so far?
So I think it's important to know that the panel has been looking at a lot of results across the board here, and I think most results are saying that we are in a Liberal majority territory right now, and they're at least leading in almost 180 ridings right now, which is something I didn't expect, and I don't think many other panelists expected. But there's a massive hit to the Conservatives right now. They've already lost, before the election, they lost their Minister of Finance, they lost their Minister of Justice, Foreign Affairs, now they've just lost Defence, Health, their Aboriginal Affairs Minister. So they are taking some serious hits in this election, and I think that that's one of the bigger surprises that we're having. It's not just Conservatives across the board, but it's some very hard-hitting Conservatives, and I think that really speaks to this movement of ABC, the anyone but Conservatives.
Yeah, I think I was expecting a strong minority. I thought a majority was possible, but I definitely wasn't expecting such a staggering win for the Liberals.
Yeah, I think people are sending a very clear message, and like you were saying, some of his key members are getting knocked out here. The old seat of Peter MacKay in Nova Scotia has been swept by a Liberal, and we're following the results in Vaughan, for example, where Julian Fantino, one of his right-hand men, is now going to be knocked out, again, by a Liberal. And we're still waiting for the results to come in from Southern BC, with 33, I think, that are still left.
Now, if we do see a Liberal majority, what are some of the policy areas that you are most looking forward to seeing change?
So I think the big one for myself, as somebody who comes from a First Nation on the East Coast, really working with Aboriginal groups across the country to try and reconcile the relationships that have been tormented over the past 10 years under this Conservative government, for the past hundreds of years over many governments. But I think it's time for change, and this, I think, will be a very defining time for this country and Aboriginal issues.
So for me, I want a strong economy in this country, but I also want to see good balance with the environment, and I think a lot of the Liberals' policies kind of strike a better balance, and I'm quite excited to see what they'll do with that.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's also going to be very interesting to see on the key issues, like how transit is going to get improved in Toronto with a new government, for example, like the very, very key things that we haven't seen much done on in the last 9 years.
I'm also excited to see. I'm also excited to see Bill C-51, and the Liberals have said that they don't support it, or they support it with amendments, but they haven't been quite clear on what the amendments are. So I'm actually very interested to see what those will be.
And one last thing, I just want to say, it's going to be nice to have a government that just is a little easier to deal with. Whether it's journalists trying to get information, scientists trying to release the information they have gathered, whatever it may be, there just seems to be an attitude that is corrosive and negative from this government. So I think people will be looking forward to a change.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think that the mayors and many of the premiers across this country are probably very happy with the results that they're seeing tonight.
I'm sorry we have to go now, but Nadine, back to you.
Thanks, Peter. Now let's take a look at Calgary Centre. The riding, as you can see, shows that Joan Crockett from the Conservative Party has 1,285 votes and is leading against Kent Herr of the Liberals. Now we're going to go to trending with Yasmin Mataran and Alicia Birdie.
Thanks, Nadine. Now, here at the Trending Corner, we've been really informative, but we also want to humor you too with a little bit of election news on Twitter. So we're just going to take a look at some of our favorites. We start with Ned Petrie. He said, Harper said a vote for Trudeau is a vote for marijuana and prostitution. This is going to be some party tonight, election 42. Another tweet by Dr. Brian Goldman. I want to be the first to say how cool it is that a child born into 24 Sussex Drive is moving back to Sussex Drive. Now, how about that? Another tweet, Elmine Abdel Mahoud said, live footage of Justin Trudeau right now. Now, if you don't realize this, going back to the 1900s, this is Simba, so Hakuna Matata to Justin Trudeau. Next one from Toronto Police on Twitter. He said, fireworks going off north of the city in celebration of Blue Jays. Okay, ... Maybe it's lightning, but still, it's a light show. It's all about the Jays. That's funny. We have an election right now, a new president, but we got fireworks going off for the Blue Jays. By the way, if you're a fan, they're winning right now, 10-4, just to let you know. And Stephen Bell on Twitter, if we look here, retweeted this photo. So some of you might remember Bautista from last week with his bat flip. This is now Justin Trudeau with his bat flip here. So we're gonna come up with a few more for you in our next segment. So if you wanna see anything from us, join the conversation with Rye Votes and we'll have more tweets for you. You can also follow the Election Zone website on our website, that's at ryersonian.ca. Back to you, Nadine.
Okay. Thanks, Alicia. Now we have an update on the National Seat Board. As you can see, the Liberals continue to lead with 178 seats, while Conservatives come closely with 97 and the NDP with 23. Now we've got Adina on the phone. Adina?
Hi, Nadine.
How's it going?
It's going okay down here. It's getting a little loud.
So it's been a suspenseful night and things are only getting more interesting. Can you tell us what's going on in your riding right now and give us an update on the results?
Yeah, so it looks like Marco Mendocino, the Liberal candidate, is taking the lead from Joe Oliver. But it really is a neck-and-neck race. At one point, the Liberals were just about 5 votes ahead of Mr. Oliver. So we are starting to see a bit of a gap now, but it's kind of fluctuating, to be honest with you. It's hard to tell who's going to really, end up winning this riding in the end. But this riding has been a stronghold for so long for Liberals. So up until 2011, actually. So if the Liberals recapture this riding, it will be quite exciting for this party and will prompt the question, why couldn't the Conservatives hold on?
Okay, very interesting. And so what's the mood like there?
Getting louder. There's more food. Joe Oliver has not arrived yet, so we're still waiting for that. Yeah, it is about the same right now. A little more excitement now that the results are coming in and changing, fluctuating.
Okay, and I guess what's your feeling about the riding? How do you feel like this is going to go?
To be honest, I'm thinking that it's really hard to tell, but I'm thinking it might be a Liberal win in the end.
And so is it a busy area? I mean, how many people are there? Has it gotten busier in the last hour, I guess?
It has gotten a little bit busier. People are coming on in. It initially was media, but now we're seeing people come in, watching the results. Yeah, it's about a little bit busier than it was before. Not too crazy, but it is getting busy.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Thanks, Adina. Bye. Now remember to join the conversation online with the hashtag RyeVotes. We're going to a break now, but we'll see you in 5 minutes. I'm Nadine Habib. Stay tuned.